Good morning, my dear children. Today we will begin chapter number 9, Dusk, in your literature book. So, before starting, let's know something about the writer H.H. Munro. So, H.H. Munro was a Scottish generalist, and his pen name was Saki, and he was known for his sardonic writing on Edwardian society. Sardonic means sarcastic. His writings usually poked fun at society. He was considered a master of the short story. Saki's first book, The Rise of the Russian Empire, a historical study, was unsuccessful. It was also the only book published under his own name. So, children, before beginning this chapter, I want you to ponder upon few things. Like, do you like late evenings? And how do you connect yourself with dusk? What do you feel? Dusk means late evening. So, whenever it is late evening, how do you feel? Do you feel happy about it? Do you feel sad about it? Seeing the darkness and little light outside, how do you feel? So, this is the story about Dusk. The writer, the character here, Norman Godsby, he associates darkness with failure. He thinks that darkness, this dusk time, is the time for the people who failed in the battle of life, who achieved nothing, who are unsuccessful in the life. This dusk is their time. So, all the people who are out during dusk, he thinks they all have failed in their life. After reading this chapter, you will come to know how his thought is changed after an unexpected incident. So, let's begin the chapter. Norman Godsby sat on a park bench on an early March evening. It was 30 minutes past 6 and dusk had fallen heavily. The roads and sidewalks wore a look of emptiness, occupied only by silent figures that moved through the half light or sat quietly on chairs and benches, so that they melted into the shadows in which they sat. Dusk, to Godsby's mind, was the hour of the defeated. He sympathized with them, men and women who fought and lost in life's battle, who came forth in the gloomy hour of dusk, when their shabby clothes and unhappy eyes might pass unnoticed. And just beyond, on the other side of where he sat, were rows of windows from which shone bright lights that cut through the darkness of the evening, forcing it away. The Godsby's mind, it seemed that these brilliant lights marked the abodes of those people who had never had to admit defeat through life's struggles. Thus, did Godsby's mind imagine these things as he sat on that bench in the near deserted sidewalk. So it's 6:30 and it is dusk. I have already told you dusk means late evening when only little light is there in the sky and it is mostly dark. So he's saying that it's 6:30 and Norman Godsby is sitting on a park bench and it's early March evening. And the roads and the footpaths, it's all empty. No one is there. It's absolute silent there. And Mr. Norman thought that men and women who had failed in doing well in life came out to sit in the park during late evening so that their shabby clothes, means dirty clothes, and sad expressions may not be noticed. If someone who is sad and sit in the dark, and do not move at all. What will happen? The person will melt into the shadows. That means that if the person will not move, the person is so still in the darkness that one can't see that person. So these people are out at this time because they want people not to notice their dirty clothes, the sad expression on their face. That's why they are out at this time. At the same time, Norman notices that just beyond on the other side where he was sitting were the windows from which bright lights were coming out, and that light was forcing the darkness away. That light coming out from the window was forcing the darkness to go away. To this, he thought that the lights were from the houses of people who were successful in life, people who have never seen any struggle in life. So these lights are coming from the abodes, from the houses of those people who are successful. So these things God's spy's mind is imagining when he is sitting on that bench near isolated, emptied footpath. Okay? It's paragraph number 2. On the bench by his side sat an elderly gentleman with drooping shoulders. But there was a certain daring in his face. His clothes were not shabby, but one would not expect him to wear a carnation in his buttonhole. As he rose to go, Godspy imagined him returning to a home circle where nobody cared for him. He got up and walked away. Now, here in this paragraph, something contrary has happened. Next to the Norman was an old man sitting whose shoulders were drooping. Drooping means hanging downwards. That means the person is very old, and you must have seen the shoulders of old people, it bends downwards. So the shoulders were drooping, and this person was not wearing dirty clothes. And not only this, but his clothes were fashionable. He was wearing a type of flower that was pinned through the buttonholes of the collars. And his face expression was also very different. He was not looking sad. Instead, there was a certain daring in his face. And when he started to leave, when he was going, Godspy thought that now he is going to a place where nobody loved him, nobody cared for him. Okay? So, this is quite contrary to what Godspy was thinking before. He thought that people who are out at this time, they are out at this time because they didn't want people to notice their dirty clothes and sad expressions on face. But this person was wearing very fashionable good clothes and there was no sadness on his face. So just to abide by the thought he had earlier, he said that okay, though he is wearing fine clothes, but now when he is going home, he must be going to a place where nobody loved him or cared for him. Now, see paragraph number 3. His figure vanished slowly into the shadows. His place on the bench was soon taken by a young man, fairly well dressed, but with a sour look on his face. He uttered an angry grunt as he flung himself into the seat. In this paragraph, the writer is saying that when that old person left, someone else came and occupied his place. Now, this person was young and he was also very well dressed, but there was certain disappointment on his face. And when he sat into the seat, he said something angrily. "You don't seem to be in a good temper," said Godspy. The young man turned to him and said, You wouldn't be in a good temper if you are in the fix I am in. I have done the silliest thing ever in my life. Gordsby asked the person that he doesn't seem to be in good mood, to which the young man replied he would also have been in a bad temper if he would have been in a problem like the young man is. Because the young man has done the silliest thing ever in his life. What have you done? Asked Godspy. Came up to London this afternoon. I thought of staying at the Patagonian Hotel in Berkshire Square, said the young man. When I got there, I found that it had been pulled down. In the place of the hotel, a cinema theater had come up. The taxi driver took me to another hotel some way off where I could stay. I at once sent a letter to my people giving them the address. Then I went out to buy some soap. I'd forgotten to pack any and I hate using hotel soap. Then I strolled up a bit, had a drink at a bar, and looked at the shops. So here he is saying that this young man, had arrived in London that afternoon and gone to a familiar hotel only to find that it had been pulled down. Pulled down means demolished, destroyed. Some cinema hall has taken its place. After that, the taxi driver had taken him to another hotel. He had checked in, written to his family, maybe that he is in another hotel or something. He wrote a letter to his family, and then he went out to buy a cake of soap because he did not like the soap provided in hotels. He had also visited some shops and stopped for a drink. Now see paragraph number 8. When I turned my steps back to the hotel, I suddenly realized that I didn't remember the name of the hotel or even what street it was in. I have no friends in London. I can write to my people for the address, but they'll get my letter only tomorrow. Meantime, I'm without any money. Came out with a shilling in my pocket, which went in buying the soap and the drink. Here I am wandering about with 2 pence in my pocket and nowhere to go for the night. In this paragraph, the young man is saying that when he decided to go back to the hotel, he realized that he did not know the name or the location. He was very angry with himself for doing something so foolish and finding himself on the streets without a penny in his pocket, because whatever money he had, he spent it on the soap and the drink. The story was followed by a long, eloquent pause. I suppose you think I have spun you an impossible yarn, he said. Now, here the young man took a long, eloquent pause, means meaningful pause, because he guessed that this person, Norman, must be thinking that he is telling him an unbelievable story. Young man thought that Norman is not believing his story. So, spun you an impossible yarn means telling an unbelievable story. That's it for today, children. If there is something that is not clear, please ask. Thank you.